Nā tō raurau, nā taku raurau, ka ora i te iwi.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Roger Wall toko ingoa. Welcome to this video on the Coordinated Incident Management System, or CIMS. CIMS is the New Zealand Government's framework for managing incidents at any scale. In your role, you may be required to use CIMS to respond to incidents from flooding to earthquakes through to infrastructure failure and many others. The CIMS system works on the principles of being responsive to community needs, secondly, flexibility, and thirdly, unity of effort. These guiding principles of CIMS allow the system to be adapted to any response while maintaining consistency of approach and managing expectations around roles and responsibilities.
In the upcoming video, you will hear speakers mention CIMS principles and characteristics. The principles are the fundamental tenets on which incident management in New Zealand is based. They are responsive to community needs. This puts people at the heart of any response, with an aim to reduce and manage consequences for individuals, families, whānau, communities, as well as animals. Flexibility. CIMS is scalable and adaptable to any situation. And unity of effort, working together ensures our common objectives are met. The 9 CIMS characteristics are the features and qualities that define CIMS. They are common terminology, common structures, roles and responsibilities, interoperability, management by objectives, consolidated planning, integrated information management and communications, coordination of resources, designated response facilities and locations, and manageable span of control.
We use CIMS principles in a variety of situations. Some examples have been the Kaikoura earthquake in 2017, the Whakaari White Island volcanic eruption, the International Convention Centre fire in 2019, Napier floods of 2020, and the Pigeon Valley fires in Nelson that covered over 2,300 hectares of land. In using CIMS to respond to the fires, we were able to establish common structures, functions, terminology, and incident facilities that were understood across all the organisations involved, reducing confusion and duplication of efforts. Consolidated planning meant that everyone knew what the overarching strategy was and how their roles and efforts contributed to that strategy and associated objectives.
The CIMS framework lends itself to future development and opportunity because it's so flexible. And for iwi, that might involve different models. We developed one here in Te Tau Ihu that suited us and our ability and our capacity, but iwi across the country may come up with different ways that could still fit into the CIMS framework and meet their needs. So I think that's important.
Command, control, and coordination are terms used to describe who has the authority to make decisions and how far that authority reaches. This is important as agencies responding to an event need to know who is in charge. Command applies vertically and refers to authority within an organisation, unit or team. Control applies horizontally and refers to the authority to set objectives and direct tasks across organisations, units and teams. Coordination is the bringing together of organisations and resources to ensure our unified effort is consistent and effective. CIMS 3rd edition introduces networked hierarchy. This recognises that in addition to command, control and coordination, networks of relationships are critical to the success of a response. While some hazards and risks are managed by the lead agency alone, others require assistance from support agencies. An agency may be a lead agency in one response, but find themselves acting in a support role in another.
A lot of the responses that we run are long-term responses. Some of them can go for a number of years. A really good example of that is Mycoplasma bovis, which has been going for well over 3 years. The way we manage the planning and the day-to-day routine of a long-running response, it changes, and it's one of the beauties of CIMS. It's a really flexible model, and the way we operate the model as well is really flexible. In the bovis response, we run an incident management team or an IMT, and so that team is staffed by people from Biosecurity New Zealand across MPI and from our industry partners.
The full CIMS hierarchy has a common structure, along with common roles and responsibilities. This helps organisations work effectively alongside each other. It also makes it possible for personnel to interchange roles. The controller directs the overall response to the incident, supported by the Incident Management Team, or the IMT for short. The IMT includes the managers from each of the SIMS functions and iwi Māori representation. The SIMS functions are control, safety, intelligence, planning, operations, logistics, public information management or PIM, welfare and recovery in response.
One of the beauties about the SIMS framework is that it's a known framework. It has defined roles, defined functions. You can train around that. And so when you stand up a response, people that have worked in it before, have worked in a response before, have had the training, they know what their role is. They can go into the response and the initiation of any response. There's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of uncertainty. But if you know what your role is, you know what you're doing is, you know what function you fit in, then you can do your job a heck of a lot easier. And that's the real beauty of the model.
The West Coast, we experience our fair share of emergencies. I think back on Cyclone Fehi and Gita in 2018. So we had a good heads up that that event might impact on the region in some way. So the SIMS framework allowed us to think across all of the different functions and ensure that we had some capability under each of those.
It's absolutely vital to have an iwi liaison team inside an emergency, because the iwi liaison team can articulate the needs of the Māori and iwi community. They can provide a trusted voice to speak on matters of interest to iwi and basically anything that affects Papatua Nuku or Mother Earth.
The SIMS structure can be scaled up and down to adapt to any situation. For example, a single agency responding to a car accident may put in place a structure where one person performs multiple functions, as shown in this diagram. Whereas a large earthquake or a pandemic will require the full SIMS structure to be implemented. Functions can be added or removed depending on the requirements of the event.
The Coordinated Incident Management System is very scalable. It can be used on a very small scale incident where only a couple of the roles are required, through to a national multi-agency event like an earthquake that we've had in New Zealand, where each of the roles are taken up. And many of the roles are mirrored throughout different agencies, but there's also that collaboration to bring everything in together.
SIMS can be used to provide effective management of a wide range of incidents, including disease outbreaks, crime and terrorism, mass maritime arrivals, business continuity and technological outages. It can also be used in planned events like concerts and sporting events.
SIMS framework for us, we use it as an everyday tool. It's a great model for looking at small issues or bigger issues, and whatever the issue is, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, that framework, we all get to know it, we all work in it, and it's a real good reassurance that we're covering things off and things are done properly.
We share a language, we share a common operational framework so that we can understand what we're doing in relation to what other agencies are also doing.
Many aspects of the SIMS framework help to make it the success it is. Ultimately, however, responding to incidents is about people and communities. People sit at the very heart of emergency management, whether they've been impacted by the incident or are responding to the incident. That is why relationships are a key component of response success. Strong relationships within, across and between communities and response organisations contribute to collective strength and resilience.
Everyone's on the same page because we're all using SIMS, we're all using the same jargon, we know what we're talking about, and there's good communication and there's really good relationships. And relationships and networking and understanding the jargon, communication are really important.
For more detail on the Coordinated Incident Management System and its application in your organisation, please see your emergency management team or your advisors. You can find the documents relating to SIMS on the website of the National Emergency Management Agency. Thank you for watching this introduction to the SIMS framework. E nohora.
E tū e te kahu I te wā o te kore.